Hey, it's Heidi. Welcome back for another video. I don't know why I always sing like that, but I do. I love this shirt and I just like did this. But I love this shirt. I've had this shirt for like a million years and I love it so much because the truth is that some of the most profound things in the world are obvious. They're hidden in plain sight, but we overcomplicate things. And I know if you're like me, you're an overthinker too. And maybe you're overing, right? Overachieving, overdoing it, over delivering, overcompensating. And overthinking is certainly one of these things that we do. So I know that, in the new year, we make all kinds of promises for the things that we're going to change. And we can make a million promises, right? But really, they fall into four categories, right? We either want to be happier, we want to make more money, we want to find love, or we want to lose weight. And I always think that it's in one of those categories. And today I'm going to talk about one that is actually near and dear to my heart, and that actually is weight loss, but not in the typical way that we kind of talk about it. For years, in another life, I was actually a director of training for a humongous weight loss company. It was called LA Weight Loss. We had like 800 locations around the world. And I was responsible for training a huge portion of those and developing other trainers. And so I was eating, breathing, sleeping the weight loss industry and coaching and counseling and writing trainings and things like that. And so I am very familiar with every single fad diet, real diet, any kind of system you can possibly imagine to lose weight. Because not only was I a spokesperson and a trainer for one of those programs, but I had to know what everybody else was doing so that I could fight the objections for the other programs. Now listen, mind you, I was this expert in the weight loss industry, but behind closed doors, I was wrestling with my own challenge of binge eating. I was trapped in a cycle of binge, restrict, and really suffered from an eating disorder. And so I'm not here to talk about your typical weight loss kind of tips. So if that's what you're looking for, let's not watch this video. Who I'm really talking to today are the people that have a much more significant issue, a bigger challenge of binge eating, where you go on all these things, but you find that the next keto diet or the next Instagram person you follow or the next download you do of a 30-day challenge is just setting you up for this continual failure of ultimately ending up failing and being monumentally disappointing in yourself. If you're a binge eater, it's a really terrifying place to be in. Now, I didn't just do food. I binged on how you do one thing is how you do kind of most things. And I binged on food, alcohol, and bad relationships or bad people that were bad for me. And I would find relief in those things. And so when I would look to other methods to try to get better, nothing was working for me. I found that everything was like putting a Band-Aid on a flesh wound. Traditional methods didn't line up for me. So 8 years ago, when I was like, I've had enough of this hell and hell. It's not even heaven and hell, it's hell and hell. Being stuck and constantly feeling like I just can't be successful. I have this like dirty little secret that I'm behind closed doors. I'm like numbing and anesthetizing my pain. And I just got tired of it. So there wasn't a way. I created one. And then once I healed, that's my life program. That's the Love Yourself First methodology that I've created around ending all dysfunctional behavior. And then I started teaching at one of the world's leading drug and alcohol treatment center. I did that for about 7 years, where I tested my theories on people that were really in crisis with their addictions and things like that. And this methodology has proven time and time again for people who are able to maintain peace, happiness, and be set free, really radically set free from these addictions and challenges once and for all. And so if that's you, you can check more about that out at HeidiRain.com, and it's on the Love Yourself First tab. So anyway, what I want to do today is spend some time. What I like to do is get underneath the hood and talk about some of the real issues of why you're in this position in the first place, because I know the first step to setting you free is awareness. You have to become aware of the real issues, the truth about why you're doing what you're doing, so that you stop putting Band-Aids on flesh wounds. You cannot go in, you have a cough and the doctor gives you a Z-Pack, but really the cough is lung cancer, right? It's going to be ineffective. You have to treat the real cause, not just the symptoms. And treating the symptoms is the diet, is the new eating plan, and things like that. When you treat the root of it, the rest of that stuff kind of takes care of itself. So I have an acronym for you today so we can uncover the truth about why we binge and how we can stop for good so that you can be free. I can tell you what it's like on the other side of that, being free from alcohol, free from my eating disorder, is that really life still has its challenges, clearly, but I don't compound my issues, right? Like life will throw you a bunch of shit, a bunch of problems, and then all of a sudden you eat to make it go away, but you're compounding your problem. You drink to make it go away, then all of a sudden people go, oh, alcohol's your problem. And you're like, no, that's the medicine, honey. I'm medicating the problem. So let's look at underneath the hood, get to some of these different causes of why we're doing what we're doing. Does this seem fuzzy to you? Is that better? Okay. Some of the causes of why we're doing what we're doing so that we can get underneath the hood and eradicate this behavior once and for all. So my acronym today is BINGE. Now again, we are going to use food today, but I can put alcohol in there or anything else that you're binging on, and this rules will apply. Again, when I set out to really eradicate these problems for my life, I started with the alcohol. That was the most pressing issue, and then obviously the food was numbing with the alcohol, so then I tackled that after I got free from my alcohol. So let's go with the B. The first reason that we binge is because we simply have a problem being. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that we have a problem being in our own skin. And whatever that comes up, being in our feelings, being uncomfortable, being authentic, being real, being exposed, being vulnerable. I can speak for myself. The biggest problem that I had was intimacy. It was an inability to be vulnerable, willing to be naked, and metaphorically and physically, really, unless I had a substance in me that would allow me to kind of be free. So at first that was alcohol. Then with food, it's like anesthetizing that uncomfortability. So learning how to deal with the most uncomfortable emotions without the Band-Aid is the ticket to success. And you have certain feelings and emotions that you have a bigger challenge being in than other feelings. For me, I didn't like feeling anxiety. I wrestle with anxiety and depression. And so those were my two feelings that I was like, oh, I'll do anything to get out of these, because I didn't know how to sit with them. I didn't know. I was afraid of them. I was afraid to feel my own feelings because I didn't know what would happen if I allowed myself to sit in them. I was petrified. And anxiety is one of those things where I was having a little bit of anxiety about something. Guess what? I could go and medicate that, anesthetize it, some Oreos, some French fries, some fast food, and then all of a sudden I'm not feeling so anxious anymore because now I have something that I'm in control of. I can shift my focus. Now, Dr. Anita Johnston, who wrote Eating in the Light of the Moon and founded kind of the eating disorder movement, has a center in Hawaii. I love her philosophy around this, and same with Janine Roth is somebody else to follow as far as eating disorders go. But the philosophy is your food has a message for you, even the foods that you're craving. If you're craving a certain type of food with a consistency or a taste or a way that it marinates in your body, in your mouth, that is a metaphor for what you're missing in your own life or what feelings you're wanting to need to express in your own life. So we can explore that further, and we do inside of my program. We go deep to get to know what are your specific feelings that you have a problem being in, or what situations are you most uncomfortable in. For me, when I was single, it was dating and relationships, and I just wanted to anesthetize that so that I didn't have to feel so uncomfortable. If I didn't want to feel lonely, well, a tub of ice cream would certainly keep me company. So being in your own skin, being comfortable in your feelings, and knowing how to navigate those, and you're not knowing how to be, then that is an issue where you will medicate it. Okay, number 2, identity. This is not really what we think it is sometimes. Like, I have an identity of being a mother and I don't want to be mom or whatever. What it really means is, and there are people that are mothers that have a hard time. Their identity of mother doesn't line up with what everybody else thinks they're supposed to be doing, and so they get hung up on what other people's identity of things are instead of what it really matters most to them. And so what that means is when you have an identity crisis, you are being who everybody else expects you to be instead of who you really are. And that means that you're not the mother that you think that you want to be. You're the mother everybody else expects you to be. You're not, doing what you want to do for your own life. You're living somebody else's dream that they have created for you. And you're a people pleaser. You are a hero. You are a fixer. All these other roles that once upon a time, like I remember, when I was a little girl and my dad was an alcoholic and I really wanted him to quit drinking. And so I spent most of my childhood feeling like, how can I get my dad to quit drinking? What can I do to be in control of this situation? And how can I keep my siblings happy and keep my home life stable? And so my dad one day came to me and said, he sat me down, I'll never forget it. I was like in my teens and he looked at me and he said, Rain, called me Rain my whole life, never called me Heidi. Rain, you are the glue that holds this family together. And I remember in that moment feeling so overwhelmed with like immense pride, like holy shit, yes, I am the glue. Dun, 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 dun. I fix things. I'm the hero. I run to the rescue. And I claimed that identity and went on through my life. Now the problem is heroes and fixers need constant problems. They need people to rescue, situations to fix, and what happens in a situation like that with that kind of an identity is that you take on projects, right? That you don't want to take on. You take on more than you want to, and you're always running to the rescue, and you're always fixing everything, and that gets, yes, exactly, tiring, overwhelming, exhausting, and then as a method to cope, we binge. We do whatever it is we need to do to check out because we just can't. We don't know how to be who we really want to be because we're afraid if I stop being the fixer, if I stop being the peacemaker, what's my value? That's the real story. Underneath all that's like, and I know because my own story too, I got tremendous amount of value from doing that. But the situation was like, let me teach you how to do it for a living then, right? If you want to help people, you don't fix anybody. I don't fix anybody, but if you want to help people, I can help you turn your pain into purpose and stop doing it in your personal life, right? That's what I was able to do is say, okay, I'm overwhelmed in my personal life. I'm dating men who are like broke down, need me to talk them into being with me or teach them how to be in a relationship, or my friendships, people are always taking, and I'm always giving. And so now I know how to have an exceptional personal life, a family that's fulfilling and lights me up. And I save my desire to kind of run to the rescue because that's never going to go away, right? That's part of who I am, but I've channeled that into a more productive way. And so that's helped me immensely. So for you, what identities are you holding that are destructive to you? Who have you been that's no longer serving the purpose, that's hurting you, that's actually creating the desire for you to binge, for you to medicate, okay? Good. You're with me so far. You're getting it. Good. Because once you have this awareness, that's step one. Step two is to get in there and figure out for you how it impacts you specifically, and then work with me so that we can eradicate these things systematically so that if you do that, you'll never need another diet again. You'll never need another like fad program because you'll be able to live in this constant state of like what you really seek is being in control, right? Like Band-Aid on a flesh wound, but you'll be able to be really in charge of yourself moving forward. And that's what we really want, right? We won't be owned by something else. And that's what our addictions are. We're a slave. They own us, right? We think we're in control, but you can't be into something that in control of something that feels like it's in control. It's in control of you. That's the truth, right? It's in control of you. All right. So the end is no boundaries. This is another thing that sets you up for binging, is that you have no boundaries. So you have a hard time saying no to other people. you know, where you let other people, you take on more than you want to, you say yes when you mean no, you overcommit yourself, you constantly go above and beyond everything that you need, you know, always, right? That's part of that hero, that fixer, that constant, self-sacrificing kind of behavior. And because you don't have any boundaries out there, you create imaginary boundaries with yourself. Well, I'll only eat no carbs. I'll only eat before 6 p.m. I mean, you create these like imaginary boundaries to go, yes, I'm in control of my life. Haha, I only don't eat before 11. You know, that's not real. That's not real. That's a band-aid on a flesh wound. Where are the real boundaries you need to set in your life? Not around, and I'm not saying there's not value and structure, there is, but you know what I'm talking about. You set that imaginary boundary with yourself. You're not going to eat before 11 or whatever it is, and at 8 o'clock you're eating a piece of cake in standing in front of the fridge. So where are the real boundaries that we need to create in our life so that we don't have to like we have to scramble for control around our eating and our drinking and everything else? Drinking is the same way. I know this video isn't about that. We'll do another video on drinking and apply these, but for now we're just going to stick with food. So you understand what I'm saying? When you constantly take on more than you want to, that leads to serious overwhelm. When you have no boundaries, when you don't speak up for yourself, when you're in that meeting at work and that idiot says that one more thing to you or claims to be responsible for your work, and you know it, and you're seething inside, and you don't speak up for yourself, you end up stuffing it down and making it feel better and chasing it down with some ice cream. You chase it down, you put a chaser on it, right? Because you're like, oh, it doesn't feel good when I eat all your shit, but if I put some sugar on it, it'll taste better. Let me sandwich your shit in between 2 Oreos and call it a day. I mean, come on, right? Don't we do that though? If you're eating shit, you need to make it taste better, put some cookies behind it. I understand. I used to eat a lot of shit in my life too, but when I stopped eating shit, I find I didn't need the chaser anymore. Hallelujah. Can I get an amen? Okay? Yes. Padawan, young Jedi. Yes. Okay. So let's agree that when you're inside of the program, we learn how to set boundaries. I know that's hard. Saying no is hard, especially when you feel like somebody's going to take their love away from you or you're going to lose part of your value by doing that. But I promise you there is a way to do this elegantly, eloquently, that'll change your life when you learn how to speak your truth. It totally changes your life, okay? The G is a surprising one for some people. Going it alone. Going it alone. And for people, a lot of the people that I work with grew up in addiction, dysfunction, or abuse. They had a toxic or traumatic childhood. And the result of that is what Phil Diaz, who's one of my very first mentors in the industry of codependence, he wrote a great book called 12 Steps for Adult Children. I worked side by side with him in group therapy where he was training and teaching me, and I was like his little Padawan, and he was my Jedi master. World-class education. He's one of the most brilliant minds there is on this topic, and I had the pleasure of working alongside of him for years, being mentored by him. And so he calls it, something I'd never heard before, compulsive self-reliance. I never quite heard it termed that way, but it clicked, a light bulb went off. Yes, I have been compulsively self-reliant, just completely, who's going to do it? Me. Who's the only one that can do it? Me, right? I'll do it. I got it. I'll take care of myself, because if I don't, who knows what's going to happen, right? But when you're in that position, and really it's a thing of trust. We don't know how to trust. And so because we don't know how to trust, we believe the only people we can count on is ourselves. We become compulsively self-reliant and go it alone. What's the result of that? Loneliness. And medicating with food is the direct result of not being able to form intimate relationships in a meaningful way that's fulfilling for you. So instead of bonding to people the way we need to, we bond to food instead. Reality, right? And we bond to any substance, alcohol, gambling, sex, food, whatever it is, it's all the same. And so really when we work together, it's about learning how to trust. I know you have legitimate reasons not to trust people. I totally get it. So did I. I got hurt by the people that were supposed to help me, protect me, love me, care for me. I understand. And then I was hurting myself. I couldn't even trust myself to do the right thing. So I had to learn that all over again. And I have a way, a step-by-step system, the Love Yourself First system, is a way to learn how to trust yourself so that you can learn how to let go of some of that over responsibility, compulsive self-reliance. And then when you do that, there's no need to medicate the overwhelm anymore. There's no need to feel, because when you're solely responsible and you feel like you have to be in control of everything, you're not in control anyway. So then you go, oh, let me tighten up on my food. And then that restrict cycle starts again with the binge restrict, the binge restrict. Make sense? Okay, super. Let's go to the last one. And this is one of my favorite ones of why we really binge, is that we don't have any concept of what's enough. The Taoists, I subscribe to Taoism. I believe a lot of things that kind of pull from a lot of different places, but the Taoist mentality is a Taoist always knows when she's had enough. And the interesting thing is, and I got this also from Janine Roth, one of her quotes from her many, many books, Women, Food, and God, and all these other wonderful books that she's written, is you can never have enough of what you don't really want. And that's one of the reasons that we binge, is because we're not fulfilled. It's not sustainable. So when I work with people, I help them understand it's not the Oreos that you really want. It's what the Oreos represent to you. And so tackling that and getting underneath the hood and saying, where is your particular challenge? Is it it's not enough, there's not enough, you're not enough, or I'm not enough? And we explore in each of those areas to see, where did this lack mentality show up? Now here's the amazing thing. A lack mentality isn't just showing up with binging on food. It can show up in a lack of money, resources, time, love, attention, affection. If we're binging and restricting, we're doing that in other areas of our life too. And so one thing impacts every single area. So when you learn what is enough, what is really enough, and not, oh yeah, I'm going to get a diet plan, they're going to teach me that this is my 2 servings, like in my weight loss days, 2 fruits, 2 vegetables, 2 starches, that's enough. No, bullshit. What's enough is what you really want. Not, oh, I'm going to have the self-discipline, Most people really want, there's 2 paths to self-love, self-acceptance and self-discipline. And most people just want the discipline. They're just like, just tell me what to do and I'll do the thing. But they don't want to do it. That's why it doesn't work. So self-acceptance is about figuring out what it is that you really do want, and then giving yourself the permission, signing your own permission slip to want what it is that you want. And then when you have it, it's enough. Right? I want you to join me on this journey, because I don't want another year to go by where you think you need the freaking keto plan, so that's going to change your life and that's going to be the thing. Because I'm going to tell you, come July, you're going to be looking for the next best thing, right? And I love you, but I'm telling you the truth is that it's not about the plan or the program or the Instagram person you're going to follow. It's not about that. If you just have a couple pounds to lose and this isn't an issue for you your whole life, I'm not talking to you anyway, and you wouldn't be here this long if it was, right? I'm talking to the women and the men who know this is a constant struggle for you. You're tired. You don't want to let another year go by where you're constantly under this level of stress, duress, and tension in your own body and your own life, because this is what it's like. You could be successful in every other area of your life, but if you have this issue with binging, it's like a little gray cloud that's following you around everywhere. It's like you only are allowed to be so happy because you have this issue. Permeates every single area of your life. Let's do something to eradicate it for good, for once and for all, right? If you're interested in learning how to do that, send me a message and ask me how to get started on that, or go to HeidiRain.com and send me an inquiry there. There's a mutual interview process, right? I want to make sure we're a good fit for each other, because I don't want you to have to go through this with me and then do it again. I want to make sure this is a good fit and that we can work together with each other. And so let's find that out, all right? I love you. Take excellent care of yourself, and let's stop doing the things in our lives that are setting us up for failure. You deserve so much more than what you've been tolerating. I love you. Have an excellent day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.